Mark, looking back at last week, presumably there's plenty there that you can sort of show to the players that was really good. I suppose it's just finishing touches you want a bit more of, isn't it?
Yeah, I think the first half was some of the best football we've played since I've been at the football club. It should have yielded 3 points, but sometimes you don't get what you deserve, and you have to take what comes your way, and that was a point. But if we can replicate that kind of performance and finish our chances, then we'll be in a really good place.
And when you're playing well, what is it that you work on in training? Do you look to add more layers to the game, or do you just stick to the basics?
I think you have to always concentrate on the basics, and the basics with us are to make sure that we are as sound as we can be defensively, to make sure we do our work with the ball, and to make sure we have our runs off the ball, and we don't just have people come in and playing five-a-side football. We have to have people running forward to cause the opposition a threat, and that's what we've been trying to get.
And while we're talking about not being able to score goals, the opposition can't score the goals if you've got as much of the ball as you had last week. I mean, if you got possession up in the 60%, that must make defending a lot easier for most of the game.
It does, and it's numbers. If those numbers are replicated and the possession stats are that, then you have a lot less defending to do. It's simple. You have nearly 70% of the ball in one half of the game, then you've only got to defend for 30%. So it becomes a lot easier, but we have to keep going. That could have easily been 4 wins on the trot, but we take the point in the end. It's a good point, and sets us up for a home game on Saturday.
And it definitely will be a good point if you can get the win against Crewe and just keep that momentum going. Do Crewe still play the same style that they were famous for a few years ago?
They tried, probably not as much as when Dario was the manager, but it's about getting results, and it's about the players you've got, and you have to play in a manner which benefits and helps your players, and the best way possible to try and get results. So they've got some good players, and we, like I say every week to you, we have to be at a real good level to get a win. The hardest thing in the game is to win a game. It's a really hard thing to do, to win a game of football, because there's 2 teams trying to achieve the same thing. There's 22 players on the pitch, and it's the hardest thing to do is to win a game of football, and you have to be right at it to do that.
Could be one for the purists, though, if you've got 2 teams that want to play and pass the ball.
Could be, but at some point you've got to be able to defend. You've got to clear your lines. You've got to kick the ball out the ground when need be, if it's last ditch. Listen, I don't have to tell people how football should and shouldn't be played. We have a way of playing, but you've still got to do the basics, like I always say, and if it's time to defend, then you have to defend.
Injuries, how is the squad at the moment? Anyone coming back into contention?
We should have who did we have missing last week?
Charlie.
No, Charlie's not ready yet. Obviously it was 6 weeks from thing. He's back on the pitch next week. So he's coming along okay. Jordan Stevens has had a bit of a back problem. He's fit to train tomorrow. Obviously Wishart's back in the group. Omar's back from wherever he's been, Hong Kong, Singapore. So yeah, we should have we're not big in numbers at the minute, but we've got enough.
Yeah, and when you've got a squad like that, it's they stick together really well, don't they?
Yeah, it helps you a little bit in terms of it keeps that consistency. And there's not too many people missing out on being in the squad, which they can then get their heads down, and you're having to try and motivate them. So there's not too many people missing out of the squad at the moment.
And Shamir Mullings, we learned at the start of the week, he's injured. That just seems really unfortunate, because you'd send him out on loan to get some game time, and it just obviously hasn't worked.
No, of course, obviously there's been a statement put out about that. It's quite an embarrassing situation for us, but one we have to learn from.